Hello, and welcome to this bonus episode of the Workwise for Screen podcast. It's part of a growing collection of practical resources and guidance designed for professionals in the screen industries, supported by the BFI awarding national lottery funding.
Through these podcasts, live events, and our online community, we help our screen sector better look after all the people their businesses depend on and stay on safe, legal ground. Our guests share practical ways to improve working conditions and well-being across the industry.
I'm Tacita Small, founder of the Small HR Company, supporting HR in the entertainment industry.
And I'm Keith Arrowsmith, a creative industries solicitor and programme director for Workwise for Screen.
This episode is a highlight from our live Belfast event, moderated by Brian Henry Martin. He was joined by Marcus Ryder, CEO of the film and TV charity, Mairead Regan, the HR consultant, Leanne Murphy, employment and equality solicitor at Rosemary Connolly Solicitors, and Michelle Walsh, head of production at Stellify Media. Let's set the stage for today's episode, all about maintaining a happy and productive work environment. You'll hear from Michelle Walsh, who plays a poignant role as head of production at Stellify Media, an award-winning multi-genre unscripted production company dedicated to telling powerful human stories.
Yeah, let's hear from Michelle.
It does start with the two guys that started Stellify, Kieran Doherty and Matthew Worthy. And, you know, I knew those two from way back when I worked as a freelancer, and I often worked with both of them. And their ethos and their conviction for what they wanted in terms of an environment, a happy environment to work in, when they set up Stellify was really, really strong. And so when they approached me 6 years ago to come and work with them, it was pretty much a no-brainer, because I knew from my experience of what a happy team, well, I felt I knew what a happy team could look like and the benefits of having a happy team. And I knew those two guys were going to back me all the way. And so really it's that whole thing from the top. If you get it right at the very beginning, you know, it's a great basis to work from. And so, you know, we do as a company work really hard to make it, you know, effectively it needs to be basically a safe and happy environment to work in. And we all know the benefits we're going to get from that and the increased productivity and the creativity and everything. But, you know, in a way, it's not rocket science. I think we do many different things. And, you know, listening to what Mairead has said, we try very hard to treat everybody as an individual and to look at their individual needs and requirements whenever they come to work for us. And, you know, we can't accommodate everything. Obviously, we're a business. We've got to keep running. We've got to turn over. We've got to keep the employment numbers up. But we definitely do our best to see everybody as an individual and think about what makes their life at work better. Because the happier and the less anxious they are at work, the greater the job they're going to do. You know, and I know from experience, I spent most of my career as a single mum with two young kids. It's not a big sad story, but it's just simply I benefited hugely from working with companies who had the trust in me to say, it's okay for you to go at 5 o'clock. It's okay for you to run out the door because one of them's thrown up over the teacher. That's okay because we trust you and we know that you'll probably end up working tonight to make up the hours. Or for me, I'm an early morning person. I like to work from 6 a.m, perhaps. You know, that's just the way I work. But I benefited hugely from that trust of an employer, and it made my life so much easier knowing I had that trust and flexibility to work within. And so now at this stage, when I'm looking at lots of team coming in, and it could be, as you mentioned, everybody's mentioned carers, child responsibilities, pet responsibilities. You know, if you can do just a little bit to make it a little bit easier for them coming into work, you'll get so much value back off them. And it just makes for a much more happier team, a more contented team. We also, on the other side of it as well, we're very fortunate in Stellify to have an amazing ops team who endlessly trying to find ways to keep the social aspect of Stellify going. We're quite well known for being quite a social company. But the benefits of that are because it gives everybody an opportunity to talk to everybody. It gives you an opportunity to find out a little bit about somebody's background. where are they coming from? What sort of anxiety? You know, everybody's got their own level of anxieties. Where does that come from? What triggers it, et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, the ops team spend a lot of time thinking up of ways to try and get us all to spend time together. It could be anything from once a month we do breakfast, a communal breakfast. Now, it's not like we go out to breakfast. It's Jake and buddies from the cafe down the street. So, you know, it's cheaply organised. To Christmas parties where we invite freelancers who've worked with us over the year back with us. We have a summer party where we all just go out and trash one of the boss's house. For some reason, he allows us to do that. But it's open. We invite family, we invite pets, we invite ex-workers. And it's just a great opportunity to help people, I suppose, take them away from the daily grind of work and just everybody to get to know each other a little bit better.
You mentioned freelancers there.
Yeah.
So how do you make freelancers feel part of this company?
Well, I think probably the majority of our company are freelancers anyway, and we have a really good footfall of people coming through the doors. We're very fortunate. We're busy at the minute. We have gone through times when we haven't been busy. And so I suppose keeping those as much as possible and obviously as cheaply as possible. It's not, you know, you don't need to spend a lot of money on keeping, you know, inviting people out or going for a few drinks after work. Or, you know, last year we did pulled together a team, including freelancers, for the Belfast relay, which was great fun. And it just keeps that general contact. I did it as well myself, and I beat my personal best, I have to say. I'm very competitive for that sort of thing. But we do, and again, as I say, we will invite them to, like the summer party, we will invite them to come and see screenings if they've worked on a project. So it's really difficult. Yeah. But I think we sort of try and do as best we can to bridge that gap.
Sure. Now, there are obvious kind of pressures. So how do you meet the needs of staff under the pressures of some of the big productions that you work in?
I think the key thing for everything is just having those chats. You just, that communication, you know, whether it's a team chat regularly, every week, whatever way it works for you. But I think also most importantly is the one-on-one chats. You know, those catch-ups. I mean, I'm probably very guilty at times of, you know, I'll have in my diary X amount of catch-ups with my direct reports. And when you get really busy, it's the one thing you go, actually, I could do with pushing that into tomorrow. Is that okay? Could we do it next week? And it's that moment that I go, no, Michelle, you can't do that, because it's less important for me, but it's much more important for them, because that's the time when they're getting your one-on-one attention. That might be the time that they say something's not quite working, or it might be the time that you sense something's not quite working. And I think for me anyway, that is the best advice in terms of what we can do to help people when it does get stressful. If something in their family background or their personal background has changed, and, you know, it's that whole thing again, is making them feel comfortable to be able to come to talk to you, creating that environment that means that they feel comfortable about coming and saying something's not right. And 5 minutes can make a big, big difference than me leaving that to next week and they've gone away home feeling that they didn't get the one-on-one or whatever.
Sure, that's important. I want to ask you about skills and motivation. So let's just talk about motivation for a moment. How do you keep the team kind of motivated? You know, I mean, like the workflow can be, you know, can ebb and flow and all of that. How do you keep them motivated?
How do we keep them motivated? I suppose, again, we do like to keep really good level of communication in terms of what's happening in the company. You know, we meet up with the development team. I head up the production team. We meet regularly with the development team to see what's potentially coming through the doors. We collaborate. We invite everybody to get involved. Doesn't matter if you work in production, you can offer up ideas to development, you know, to make sure it's the whole company is involved in all of that. But we also spend the time, if it's a down period, we'll spend the time thinking like, where can we improve your skills base? You know, can we talk about different courses? Can we give you something, you know, or as I say, if it's a downtime in production, we do offer people the opportunity sometimes to go into the development team for a bit. So it's a bit of a mixture, really.
And in terms of that skills, is that something that you would offer both employees and freelancers? Is that kind of important?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we do offer a lot of training to our freelancers. You know, it obviously depends on what they're doing and how long they're with you for. But so, you know, in terms of skills development, we give that opportunity to work in a different department if the time allows for it and it works within the current commitments that you've got. We offer one-to-one mentorship, and that's open to freelancers as well as internal core staff. So that's where you get the opportunity. You can book in to have, or you can request a mentor from one of the senior members of teams. We offer everybody the opportunity, if you just want to brush up on skills that you don't normally get the chance to brush up on. That could be anything from budgeting work, you know, scheduling, so you get a sense of that. Or we've had people ask, I want to find a little bit more about the use of After Effects. So we get them to sit in with our assets teams for a bit. So, and then we have an awful lot of internships that go on as well.
Yeah.
Both internally and externally.
Now, Michelle, I've got to ask you about Titanic sinks tonight. You know, just give us a sense of that production from your perspective.
Oh, look, I mean, beyond exciting. Anybody that's in this industry today, I know there's really depressing parts of it, and there's been a real downturn in activity, but actually you're just moving into a whole new world. If I was starting out again, it's so exciting. And basically, my very crude knowledge of what we did on Titanic Sinks Tonight, it's a 4-part series for BBC. It's a docudrama. A lot of, well, I say drama recon. It was full-blown drama, effectively. We were sort of telling the story of Titanic, the sinking of the Titanic, from the viewpoint of people who survived the sinking of the ship. We've had actors play out the testimonies that we've unearthed of what people have written in memoirs or inquiries, etc. And we follow the 4 hours of it going down. But anyway, so the main point is, I digress, this is the first time that we've ever moved into the world of virtual production. So effectively, it's where the unreal world meets the real world, and the gamers sort of interact with television, and together we sort of exploded and made something which is phenomenal. So what you will see on screen when it goes out is that part of what you're looking at is real, as in the physical set, and part of it is unreal. It's just a big screen, effectively, with lots of files thrown into it that looks completely real. You know, like we had water crashing up onto the deck of the boat. That's not real. So the capabilities at the moment for all of you guys and everybody is just, it's phenomenal. So we're really excited about it. And it was actually to say as well, on that production, over 90% of the team and the crew were Northern Irish. Wow. So I think that's a great statistic to have.
Wow.
And that was a massive skill set.
And what size of a kind of cast and crew are we talking? I mean, just give us a sense of the scale of this production.
I think the biggest we had on a day, the largest amount was about 160 people working across it. So, you know, it was huge, but it was, very exciting. All of the different departments, and practically everybody was new to this. They'd never worked in the world of VP before, except for obviously our virtual production art department. But our director, our DOP, had never worked in that world. So it was a lovely collaboration, because it was an opportunity for everybody to go, okay, I know nothing, you know nothing, Jesus, we've got to do it. And everybody just kind of put their heads together and had a lot of fun. And hopefully it's okay.
Well, we can't wait to see it. Now, just finishing on Workwise for Screen, give us a sense of what you think people could learn from having a resource like this.
I think it's following on from what Maria has said, it's an opportunity to ask questions and to tap into, you know, everybody else. And again, you know, talk to other people about how they would approach a scenario or a situation or an issue you've got, or just it's all those little bits of advice will help, even if it's just a small bit. It might make a difference. So I would say take everything that you can get from this, and then you can just build up a network of people that you can contact if you're having any issues or if you just want to chat about it.
It's really good to hear that someone talking about the importance of networks and how you can be supported both within your team, but also by other people in the industry. Is that your experience, Tacita?
Most definitely. When working in this in this industry, it's not just about who you know, it's about how you interact with the people that you know at any level, creating a network or a community of people who are within the field sector that you're in is only ever going to pay dividends. And it's about sharing, isn't it? It's about creating that community that can lean on each other in all times, good times and bad.
And I think part of the skill of a good leader is working out what you say and when you say it, and then who you say it to. So there's going to be some cases that Michelle talks about where a one-to-one chat is the best way of tackling something. And sometimes it's something that feels much more natural in a group environment. And I think that's that distinction, picking the right time and the right way of helping people address things that might be stressful, that might need lots of time and energy to think about, is going to be really important. So that one-to-one might be the right way of doing it, or it might be something much more informal. It's part of a group.
I think that one-to-ones sometimes sound so daunting for everybody. Having a one-to-one chat may feel like, oh no, you're going to hear some bad news, or you're going to get in trouble, or what is this time about, or why is the spotlight on me at this time? But when you schedule in or you plan a cadence or a rhythm or routine around one-to-ones, they become a space that actually you really value, because that's the time when you're going to talk about what you've got going on. Be that maybe where you can learn to do something different or better, or stop doing something. It kind of gives you a space in which to breathe, the person who's leading or managing you. So putting them in can feel like, oh no, as a leader or a manager, I had to put in one-to-ones. I think the people that are doing that need to feel this is a good opportunity for me to share with that person. And those on the receiving end of seeing that one-to-one drop in or having to take part in one-to-ones, if you start to think of it as your time, it then takes the sting out of what are we doing here. You do need a space in which to have a conversation about what it is you're doing. That's how we grow, by getting feedback, stop, start, continue, keep doing this, but maybe change the way you're doing that a little bit, or we don't need so much of that anymore. So for those that are maybe a bit nervous about implementing that one-to-one or taking part in that one-to-one, it's a great space once you explain what it's for.
Yeah, there's a bit about expectation, and I think there's a bit about practice. The more one-to-ones you have, the more comfortable they'll feel, and the sense that there is value in having that time together, because you'll start seeing the results of it, which I think is going to be really helpful.
And when you build that in, you're using that time effectively. You're paying in now for getting, the greatness out of people later on.
And also that idea that Michelle talks about of having mentors or shadowing, those are opportunities to find out how other people do one-to-ones and learn from them to see what works and what doesn't work. It can be really lonely if you're running a small business, if you're the only person having to start up the one-to-ones. So, finding out how other people do it in the sector can be a real help, because you're finding out what you do well and what you can think about for the next time. And it helps keep people motivated, which was Michelle's other point, that sense that training and upskilling can be part and parcel of what people find enjoyable, because it builds on their skills and experience going forward.
It's all learning, and being vulnerable in that space and looking for mentorships around how to do these things is also very helpful, and to connect with other people who are going through the same thing.
If you can work with people in a way that enables a little bit of flexibility, a little bit of learning as you go on, then everyone's going to be open to those kind of moments and to work with you rather than against you. There's lots on the platform to give people some hints on how to do one-to-ones, and the community's talking about how to bring that into everyday practice. So let's go onto the website, let's get onto the platform, and if anyone needs any more top tips based on what Michelle's advice has been, then just let us know.
Yeah, they can email it in and let us know what they're looking for if we haven't already got it. But like you just said, the resources are amazing.
Thanks for listening to the Workwise for Screen podcast, supported by the BFI awarding National Lottery funding.
Our online platform provides lots of easy to understand information and invites to our events. Visit our website at workwiseforscreen.org.uk and register for the latest updates.
Please follow us on social media and join in this crucial conversation.
And contact us with suggestions for future episodes or if you can support the programme in any other way.